So today we're talking about elder abuse. June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month. So Brenton and I wanted to pop on and do an elder law report on elder abuse, what it is, and what can be done to avoid it from our perspective as attorneys. So, what is elder abuse? Brenton, what do you think?
Yeah, so that's a good question because it comes in many forms, and one of the things that we talk about in our seminars is the prevalence of elder abuse. And, what we tell people is 10% of individuals who are considered seniors get or experience some type of elder abuse, right?
Financial abuse, yeah, the 10%, 1 in 10.
That is, pretty skewed number because a lot of that stuff doesn't go reported. It goes unreported.
I would say the majority of it is unreported.
Yeah, because sometimes people don't know their avenues. Sometimes people don't know what constitutes elder abuse, and it's a lot of times it's family members, so people don't want to tell on their family members. So what elder abuse it's on a spectrum. Whether it's deprivation of that person's liberty just because they can't make choices for themselves, and you're slowly taking away their independence by not allowing them to perform daily tasks and letting them deteriorate because they can't make their own choices on one end, to financial exploitation. They trust you with their money, but you're taking them for a ride. Or just straight up actual what we would think of as abuse, yelling, not improper treatment, you being relied upon as a caretaker, and you not doing the job that you should.
Which should not be tolerated by a person or their family from a caretaker or another family member.
Right.
Actual abuse or financial abuse,
Right.
taking advantage of someone else's finances who may have questionable healthcare situation or capacity, right? Dementia, Alzheimer's. So yeah, horrible stuff. So how can we and we interact with people all the time that are in those situations. We do. Or are scared of those situations, or are trying to plan ahead and plan around those situations. So who's going to handle my money? Do I have any say so? If something happens to me, who handles my money? Who handles my real estate? Who handles my health care? And the answer is yes. Brenton, how do you plan ahead from a plan ahead perspective, and how does that help you avoid elder abuse?
Yeah, so to plan ahead, the first thing you need to do is understand that elder abuse is a reality and that it can happen to you, right? Just first understand that. Second thing is to make sure that you have the barriers in place to prevent elder abuse from happening, whether it's physical, you get those people out of your life that you think would do that. You make sure you surround yourself with people who are going to take care of you, or financial or emotional, or healthcare, right? So what we provide to prevent elder abuse, and one of the things we do to plan ahead, and one of the most effective things is to put the I think it goes the other way around. There you go. Is to put the
You can't see me. I can only see you.
okay. Is to put the things in place, right, that are going to prevent that. Those things that we offer are the powers of attorney documents that we draw up. So it's the general durable power of attorney for financial legal purposes and the healthcare power of attorney.
So Brenton, what if I don't have someone in my life that I can trust 100%? Should I appoint them to be my agent over my finances or my health care?
Yeah, absolutely not. That's one of the best ways to get exploited. One of the best ways to have the instances of abuse emerge, because you're giving that person quite a bit of power. You're giving them the ability to make any choices for you with respect to your finances, your legal rights, and your health care. And not only are you giving them that power, you've solidified to the rest of the world that, hey, this person is trustworthy. I trust this person 100%. And so that's what that document is doing. And it's important to have that document in place for your protection, but you're not going to get any protection if you appoint someone that's not trustworthy.
No, you're going to put yourself in a worse position because you're going. I can guarantee it. That's how I feel about springing powers of attorney, and I've said that many times at seminars and other times that, and in consults. So springing powers of attorney are powers of attorney that spring into action, that spring to life when some event happens, such as you become incompetent, incapacitated, as certified by one physician, or we could write it as certified by two physicians. Right. Well, if the person, when somebody brings up a springing power of attorney, is there some way to do that, they say, to make it so that it's only valid when I'm incompetent? The answer is yes. However, if you don't trust that person while you're competent, if you don't trust that person while you're lucid, while you're able to make your own decisions easily, then I guarantee you, and while you're able to guard against it because you're competent, I guarantee you they're going to take advantage of you if you're not competent.
Right.
So maybe really, really scrutinize that decision, consider that decision whether to appoint that person as your agent over your financial and healthcare affairs.
Right, exactly. And you're going to appoint someone you trust and hopefully appoint a secondary person to fill the agent's role, whoever you appoint as agent, if that agent can't act, and hopefully you trust that secondary person as well. But the biggest thing is to communicate, right? So people will make someone their power of attorney, make their son, daughter a power of attorney, for example, and won't ever tell them. And won't tell the rest of the family, hey, this is what I've done. This is why I've done it, or they're worried about not putting Susie as one of the powers of attorney because they think she'll be offended. And even though Susie, blows her money and can barely scrape by, she's financially incompetent. You want someone who can do the job and that you trust, and you want to tell people about your plan so that they can support you because, if you don't tell anybody you set these protections in place, it's good to have the protections, but if no one knows, right, then no one can support your plan.
So you want to be able to communicate. You want to be able to communicate with your family and with the agents. You want to be able to tell them, for them to have access to that document, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So you could give them a copy of that document. Brenton, we actually provide free of charge for life a service that allows family members access to any of your legal documents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anywhere on planet Earth where you can have an internet connection.
Right, and that's a big deal too because, that prevents that physical barrier of, trying to, leaving a copy of it with a family member. Place. Yeah, in a safe place who, it might get lost or something like that, No, I can bring up mom's power of attorney. I can bring up, dad's will anywhere and show people and demonstrate that.
We're on vacation in Florida with mom and dad, and something happens, and I go to the hospital, and I pull it up on my phone. Yeah. Here's the healthcare power of attorney. Yeah. If they said, "Hey, you need to print it," I'd say, "Hey, can I email it to you right here at the nurse's station so you can print it?" Or I could go find a place nearby to print it, right? But it's available to you. So, yeah. Exactly. I think that's a neat service. So healthcare powers of attorney are important. General durable powers of attorney are important. Hey, it's separate parts of the statute. You can have a different agent for your healthcare than for your general durable power of attorney for your money. Are there situations where that might be advantageous, or why is that you can have different ones?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the reasons why is to give you the flexibility to choose who has power, right? So the reason why that's separated in the statute is statutorily they want to give you the ability to choose who has power over what. And so, for example, I have someone who works in healthcare in my family. they understand how everything works. They understand how certain procedures work, certain medication, how it affects people, and they just understand the system. They are a pretty good choice for being that healthcare power of attorney because they can make quick, efficient decisions and counsel the rest of the family on why it's a good decision, right? That person, while the person I have in mind would also be a good person to have for financial legal purposes, but
What if they weren't?
yeah, exactly.
What if they weren't?
Yeah,
What if you had a son? What if you had a son that was a financial planner or CPA?
exactly.
And he's a perfect person to be your financial legal power of attorney or an attorney. Maybe they're an attorney. Yeah. And then you have a daughter that's a nurse. Exactly. I have clients. We have clients who have that exact same situation.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. Where even if that's not the case, even if their son isn't a CPA, he's he owns his own business, and the daughter is a teacher or something like that. They just know that daughter can make better financial decisions and son can make better healthcare decisions.
Hey, I know people who don't have a college education who are a lot better with money than some CPAs I know, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I'm serious. So it just, I mean, you know people. Some people are good with money. Some people are not.
Right.
And in your family who's good with money and who is not good with money. And sometimes it has nothing to do with education.
Yeah, or just has a financial literacy,
Yeah, exactly. Or common sense. Or savers. Like my grandmother who worked at a textile plant, that mill, literally her entire life.
Yeah.
Her and my grandfather. And were able to save a lot of money for what they made and own their own home, and always had money. Although, and I mean, I'm going to tell you, I'm not as good at that as I would like to be. If she could, I could learn some things from her,
Right.
But yeah, so you can appoint someone that you feel comfortable in that role.
Exactly.
I like to joke and say you might not want to have the same person over your finances and getting ready to inherit a lot of money that also has their hand on the plug. You know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe want to make them different, but most people make it the same person. I mean, realistically, but you have that choice.
Yeah, especially if it's your spouse. You make them over both, and then
maybe it just depends on if how it's going with the spouse.
Yeah,
but yeah. So I have blended families, who second, third marriages who don't want to make the spouse. They want to make it like their daughter.
And that's very important to bring up too, because there's nothing wrong. Okay, let's say you have a family that's blended. Husband and wife got married. It's their second marriage. They both have kids from the first marriage. There's nothing wrong with having your respective children as your power of attorney. Instead of having your spouse's children as power of attorney. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to worry about offending anyone. You need to pick the right person.
What about having your other estate planning documents in place? What about having, the will in place? What about having, perhaps trust in place, irrevocable trust? What about having deed protections in place? How could that help protect you from being taken advantage of if you were incompetent or elderly, subject to elder abuse? How could you that help lessen that?
So first of all, let's start with the will. A valid will is going to make sure that your property goes where you want to go, right? A validly executed will that you have an attorney draw up and you make sure it's ironclad. That's going to prevent that dreaded probate litigation where, you can have people coming in saying, hey, dad, before he passed away, told me he was going to leave me this, leave me that, but more importantly, if you have someone as your trustee for a trust, things like that, whoever you pick, you have that extra person who's going to be someone who's overlooking what's happening with your property, right? And they have a fiduciary duty. The executor of your will has a fiduciary duty. A trustee that you appoint has a fiduciary duty. Where if they violate that duty, they're in violation of actual duties given to them that they have to act toward. You know what I'm saying? So they can be in trouble for that, to put it in the most simple sense. They can be subject to litigation. They can be subject to other legal,
recourse.
Recourse. That's right. So, For those two especially, you're going to have the ability to have that extra person there to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Now, you know, deed work wise, what we offer and what we suggest for a lot of people to have is ladybird deed. Now, a lot of people think that, hey, when I get a certain age, I'm just going to give my house away, right? I'm just going to start giving my assets away to protect it because that's what I've heard on the street from some street lawyer, from a neighbor down the street who saw a lawyer once or read an article once and is giving me legal advice. So you don't want to make the mistake of just giving away your property because give it away, what promise do you have that you're going to be able to live there for the rest of your life, right? I mean, you give it away, you don't have any power over that property, and whatever you give it to, you can kick you right out. And
I think I just don't advocate. I just really don't advocate that.
Yeah,
I never advocate that because I've seen situations where the kids will throw mom or dad out of the house, out of their own house that they got control of. And I don't care how nice your kids are. I think they're nicer if mama still has control of the assets.
Right. Even if you have to protect your assets, even if you have to even if you have to get your assets out of your name for all intents and purposes, there's ways
like into an irrevocable trust.
Yeah.
Where there is a legal fiduciary duty for that child to maintain those assets for the rest of that person's life.
Exactly. There's ways around it where you don't give someone the property free and clear where they can do with whatever they want.
Or you may want to set it up by deed for the child to get or children to get the property after you pass, but guarantees it's under your control for the rest of your life.
Right.
Like life estate deeds or ladybird deeds. Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the main goals that we espouse is, first of all, we want your property to go where you want it to go, but while you're alive, we want you to keep it. We want you to keep control over it.
While also allowing you to have maximum access to health care benefits, like long-term care Medicaid or veterans benefits. Right. So we're always thinking about those things when we're making a plan. But I think going ahead and solidifying a plan, whether the family knows about how the assets are going or not, it gives you peace of mind.
Exactly.
That you're not going to be subject to that elder abuse. And we can give you assurances, and you can set up legally where you have assurances you're controlling your property, your money, your home, maybe other real estate for the rest of your life. Right. Or you know who is. And they have a legal fiduciary built-in duty into, say, a trust to do that for you.
Right.
Or suffer consequences.
Yeah, because, what happens if you don't have those powers of attorney in place?
Guardianships. If you do not plan ahead, then the state has a remedy, has a solution, which is guardianship. So either the Adult Protective Services, if the family doesn't file a petition, if someone needs help, accounts are locked up, no one's appointed to handle health care decisions, then the state, or placement decisions, the state will step in, or the family can petition the court to appoint a guardian. Right. But once a guardian's appointed, the court's really, really, in my experience, are very cautious as to how you can spend money as the guardian. So you become it becomes harder to protect assets.
Right. Yeah. And
from a long-term care spend down or something. Yeah.
Right. And you're under a continual, obligation to report to the court. You're under the oversight of the court for the rest of the time that that ward is living, unless you are able to convince the court to restore the rights back to that individual.
And sometimes the court might not want a private guardian unless they know that there's retained counsel that is going to ensure those annual accountings are filed incorrectly.
Right.
Because of problems the court's experienced in the past.
Right.
So there's extra fees, extra cost involved. Much more expensive and drawn out than putting in place foundational documents, general durable power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney ahead of time.
Right. And because, like we're saying, guardianship really should be a last resort option.
Even in the statute, I don't think a lot of guardian ad litems know this, or clerks, by the way. And I love clerks and guardian ad litems as much as I can. Okay, but I don't even think that they know, or really, they know. I don't think they think about it that way.
Right.
I think guardianship is a one size fits all. There's a nail, I'm going to hit it with a hammer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
Yep.
That's all a hammer knows. But really, it should be used sparingly. And you should look at every opportunity to even put in place limited guardianships. I've been doing a lot of reading about guardianships lately.
Right.
Yeah, because, ultimately you're depriving someone of their rights, of their liberty.
Of every right to control any property. I mean, the Constitution that I have hanging out on the wall in here, which is, that's awesome. I thought it was cheesy at first, but now I love it because it just keeps me grounded. It's because it's cliche for me to have that in my lawyer's office, the Constitution and Declaration for Independence, right? And I've had those in my past offices too. But life, liberty, and property, right? That's one of the fundamental pursuits, literally, right? And it takes that away.
Yeah, and there's no one out there, picketing. There's no one out there, protesting. There's no one out there driving for these individuals who are just having the rights taken away without a second thought.
No, and that concerns me too, by the way. I just think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for us as a firm to litigate a lot of these issues. I think there has to be changes with the senior tsunami, the wave of seniors with the baby boomers and aging. I just think there has to be changes in current laws to protect seniors against having their rights taken away.
Yeah.
And put in placements, put in care.
Right. And
Can I go put you somewhere right now? No. Not. I mean, if you committed a crime, you'd have more rights than some seniors that are being declared incompetent in a guardianship proceeding.
Oh yeah.
Because you'd have rights to jury trials, you'd have rights to appeals, you'd have and it's very limited in the guardianship situation.
Oh yeah, and there should be more ethical obligation for individuals who are bringing these petitions, because just about anyone can bring these petitions, right?
Any interested party, and an interested party is a loose term. Doesn't have to be a family member. Does not have to be a family member. Yeah.
Exactly. And and if they lose, if the individual is deemed to be not incompetent, there's no recourse there. There's no.
You could they could hire an attorney and set a hearing to be deemed competent, but then you're going back through the same process with the same people to try to find you competent that just found you incompetent, right?
Yeah.
What are the chances of that?
Yeah, and if it's a frivolous petition, there's no recourse for that, because that we've experienced, that we've seen, there's a possibility of maybe holding that person liable, but it's not like malicious prosecution, because you're not trying to charge them of a crime, and you're not trying to sue them civilly.
Where's the penalty?
Right, for unethically bringing a petition that deprives someone of the rights and liberty.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. And if the state gets involved, the county, at the county level, Adult Protective Services,
Right.
then it is a different situation.
Oh yeah.
Then you got a clerk who's employed by the county, an attorney who's employed by the county, and a GL who's appointed by the clerk.
Yep.
Those are the three different parties that are independent of each other, so to speak, that are going to be really, really heavily involved in making that decision. And I have a problem with that. I have a severe problem with that.
And when
And you know what? If some of those people watch this video, they're going to try to crucify me for saying that. You know what? I don't care. It's not right. It's home cooking, and it wouldn't fly anywhere else. It shouldn't fly in that area of law.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why it does.
Yeah.
yeah. And the thing is, if a private attorney comes in, tries to throw a wrench in there, asking for something that usually doesn't get done, right? Let's say like a jury trial. I mean, it really causes commotion. I mean, they don't like anything that they don't like
They don't
anything.
want to do it. They don't want to do it. They don't want to respect your constitutional right.
Yeah.
Right?
They want to rubber stamp that
They
incompetence.
want to take away every right you've ever had and the right to even be placed wherever you're going to be placed, your freedom without a jury trial. That is the inclination.
Because
That is the
become
first
routine.
option.
Because it's just become routine. It's not
Because
like
it's
they're-
become routine and they don't think of it that way.
Yeah.
They don't view it that way or
They
think of it that
just-
way. In fact, if you try to get them to view it and think of it that way, you become a pariah. You're the one, what is wrong with this guy? He's trying to actually stand up for someone and have a jury trial in a guardianship case, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. I think that should be routine. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
taking away someone's life, liberty, and property should be routine to have a jury, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And I'd rather have
Yeah, and I'd rather have a jury of my peers decide my competency rather than one clerk.
Than the clerk that's employed by the county and the DSS attorney that's employed by the county
Mhm.
and the guardian ad litem that's appointed by the clerk that's employed by the
Yep.
county. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Is that right? Is there an appearance of propriety or impropriety there? I just ask it that way.
Yeah, impropriety, hands down.
Come on, man. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade. Anyway. All right.
And if you have any doubts about that, I mean, it's not like you can go just watch one.
It's a closed hearing, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that a lot of people don't know about it. So if you have doubts about it, we can't help you because it's not like they'll let you watch one.
And all this belly aching from these two attorneys can be solved by simply you having in place a general durable power of attorney and healthcare power of attorney.
Right.
Don't let someone take away your rights. That's
Anyway, unless I'll just throw this out, unless APS gets involved, even though there's a power of attorney, and then, in my opinion, they should get back out of it once they are reasoned with. But we'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
But if you have power of attorney in place, that doesn't automatically remove you if a guardian is appointed.
No, correct.
So it's still a safeguard. Yeah.
True story. Hey man, it's been a good discussion. I got a little fired up. I didn't get super fired up, but I'm a little fired up.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, litigation can be fun, and fighting for people is fun. If you'd like for us to help you, not just fight for you, but plan ahead for you. Right? We'd like to do it peacefully, but protect your rights. That are a lot of them are uniquely yours, given to you by that Constitution that's hanging on my wall. Your right to life, liberty, and property, and pursuit of happiness, and all that stuff, right? Call us 704-259-7040. We serve Charlotte and surrounding area. Right now, I'm at the Charlotte office. Brenton is in our Shelby, North Carolina office, which we consider a suburb of Charlotte because it's 45 minutes away. What's that?
Just came back from Asheville.
Just came back from Asheville. We absolutely service the Western North Carolina region. But thanks. Great conversation, Brenton. And I can't wait to develop out more of this litigation. And we should lobby. We should lobby for some of these laws to be put in place and some of these protections. You mentioned that before. We'll keep you posted. But let's seriously think about that. Protections we can put in place to protect seniors and literally give them their day in court and their just due to help protect them against elder abuse or someone swooping in and taking control of everything. I'm Greg McIntyre. Brenton Begley. What's that, Brent?
I said that's right. June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month.
June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month. Okay? Call us. Let us know if you need us. All right? Bye. See you, Brent.
Safe.
I want to show you my constitutions, okay, before we start. So, keeping it simple, keeping it real, even though it's a little cheesy in our Charlotte office. I got
That looks good. That looks really good.
We the people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, man, that's written in small print.
Yeah, it is.
And then the Declaration of Independence.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought so too. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. That's right.
So we keep it grounded, and it's like my overall objection when I couldn't think of, where to put it. It was objection, Your Honor, the Constitution.
Please don't wait